All right, YouTube, welcome back to the channel. The last item that I've reviewed 4 or 5 items in a row right now. This is the last one I got in the mail. It's the new, sort of new, Raspberry Pi 2. This did come out about 6 months ago, but this is the first that I've acquired one. Reason why is I have a Raspberry Pi here. Granted, it's in a case. This is the Model B. Only 2 USB ports. I'll talk about differences here in a second. And this one died. This ran my Bitcoin mining software. So, decided to get the new one. Raspberry Pis, if you're not familiar, don't even watch the rest of this video. If you don't know what a Raspberry Pi is, go Google around, let you know what a Raspberry Pi is, then come back and watch this video. I'm not going to get too far into what a Raspberry Pi is and what amazing things you can do with this. But go Google it if you're very, very new to this, and then come back and I'll tell you everything about the Raspberry Pi 2 that you need to know. So on the back here, it has specs. That's about it. Some barcodes and other symbols about recycling on here. It is the Model B. It has a gig of RAM, a 900 megahertz processor compared to the I think 500 or 600 megahertz processor that's in the A and the B. But the big difference here with this model is you've got 4 USB ports. So this has 4 USB ports, and that was one of the biggest complaints, if my camera will ever focus, of the other one. Because since this doesn't have built-in Wi-Fi and it doesn't have built-in Bluetooth and other things like that, you can very easily fill these 2 USB ports. So very, very commonly, a lot of people were selling little cheap USB hubs with these so that you'd have as many USB ports as you need. So on the front, you can notice the difference. It has 2 more USB ports. On the side here, you notice a little bit of difference here. It has composite video and analog audio, digital audio over here. 3.5 headphone jack and composite. And then you've got, granted my case is in here, you've got a squished down version of the 30-pin GPIO pins. The 30-pin GPIO pins take up the whole dang thing there. On the back here, same thing. It does have this is like some don't quote me on this. This is some 18-pin little ribbon cable that you can attach different displays and other things like that to it. And then this has it as well. And then on the bottom, this uses micro SD cards. These don't have hard drives. You actually have to use SD cards like you would put in your phone or your camera. This is the micro SD. This is the full-size SD, so you kind of see the size difference there. Also on the back, you'll notice that this is the micro USB port where you will plug in power, because this device, doesn't have a big honking power cord. It uses, your typical smartphone charger. That instead has been moved around to the side. You can see that over there on the side. The side, a little bit different here. HDMI port still exists. It's the same size, but you see they moved the analog audio over to here. And I think they also added another little ribbon cable slot there. Oh, no, that existed on the old one as well. Kind of hard to see through the brushed case there. So they just rearranged a few things, upgraded the internal, so it has a little bit more RAM. This has a half a gig of RAM, 512 megabyte in it. This has a full gig of RAM. This has, I think, a 600 or 700 megahertz processor. This has a 900 megahertz processor. And then, obviously, a little bit more USB ports. There's still 2.0 ports. I think this is still 10100 Ethernet. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't looked it up yet. Can't remember it off the top of my head. But it does come with link lights, and I love link lights. You can see the little lights down here which tell you if the device is connected properly and if it's sending or receiving data. This over here doesn't. So you never really know when it is connected to the network appropriately, unless you're looking at your switch or other things like that. But when I did my Bitcoin, one was plugged in for a combo keyboard and mouse, and the other one was plugged into the actual Bitcoin miner. So I very quickly filled up the ports. I would like to put a Wi-Fi dongle in there. I'd like to put a Bluetooth dongle in there. I want to plug a whole display into this thing, but I do need to get a case. I don't have a case yet, and I'd like to get one. But that is the Raspberry Pi B, Model B+. there are a million and one things you can do with this. You can use this as servers. You can use this as little media players. I mean, this is literally a whole computer in your hand. It has everything you need. It has a network jack. It has USB ports. You can connect it to a display. You can connect it to audio if you want to hook speakers up to it. You can use it portable. I mean, it uses just a little micro USB plug there for our smartphones. There's so many portable battery packs that you can put in here and power this thing for hours without actually having to plug it into a wall. Yes, it looks a little, high-tech and, futuristic for some people that are, just getting into computing, but these are great. They're $35. They're even cheaper than that, and it's literally a whole computer for under 50 bucks. Yes, you do have to buy an HDMI cable if you don't already have one laying around. Yes, you might have to buy, some of the other accessories, and that's kind of where they ding you. Yes, you'll have to buy a micro SD card if you don't have an SD card. But these are very lightweight little Linux computers. You can't run a full-blown version of Windows on it. You can't run, Mac operating systems or other things like that. This is used for a million and one different things. I've seen people build surveillance systems out of these. I've seen people build robots out of these. I've seen people use them for home automation. I've seen them used as, media centers and media PCs. I've not used one personally. I normally use them as servers or just little PCs. Retro gaming consoles. Killer. I actually just did a review on this little Bluetooth controller that can fit in the palm of your hand and go on your keychains, and it's perfect for a little retro gaming setup like this. Go check out the review if you want to learn more about this. This is the 8-bit Do Zero controller. So you can set up a whole retro arcade where you can play old Atari games or Sega games or Dreamcast or N64 or whatever on this. It really kind of opens up the door for getting into some really, really interesting learning about computers and different operating systems and the Linux world itself. So these things have been really blowing up across the world, getting into a lot of classrooms and other things like that. But this one will be used to run my Bitcoin mining setup that I have over here that hasn't been running in a couple of months. You'd normally hear it humming in the background over there. But this one, I think the network jack went bad on it or something like that. And I've had this for, heck, ever since they came out with one, probably a year and a half. I've had this. And I've used it for a whole bunch of different projects, and finally it kicked the bucket on me, and it stayed on all day, 24/7, 365 for about a year and a half. So it did a pretty good job for a $35 computer. So I picked up another one. This is the Model B Plus. It's about $35 if you're interested. You can get them anywhere. Element14.com is kind of the official place. You can go to raspberrypi.com. Amazon's normally where I buy them, but I mean really everywhere has them. You probably will have to buy online. Not too many stores, retailers carry this, unless you're in the UK, because the company Raspberry Pi is based over in the UK, so you might be able to find it there. But as usual, like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. Questions or comments, let me know. I will post some links to of some projects if you're interested in things like that, and I can point you in the right direction, because if there is a project that you're interested, I've probably tried it or have failed miserably at it, but tried it before. So let me know. Stay tuned, stay subscribed, and we'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks.